What do you know? Marvel can go dark. You and I both know that the MCU is currently in a creative slump. The evidence is in all the mediocre content on Disney Plus and the garbage that was Ant-Man 3. But I must admit, I always had faith in Guardians of the Galaxy 3. And it all comes down to two words: James Gunn. Love him or hate him, you can't deny that this Silver Fox is one of the most creative directors the MCU has ever had. And somehow, his style always managed to rise above the rest of the cookie-cutter movies that Marvel is now known for. And this film is no exception. From the opening chords of Radiohead's Creep, Gunn sets the dark and depressing tone of the film, letting us know what we're in for: a farewell to our favorite gang of losers, where there will surely be fun and laughs, but it will make us go through hell in the process. This approach took me completely by surprise, because if there's one thing that I expect from a Guardians of the Galaxy movie, is to have fun and laugh a lot. Not bawling my eyes out, but I must say, Gunn's risky bet pays off in the end, so much so that this is the first Marvel movie to make me feel something since Spider-Man No Way Home. The plot is rather straightforward and contained, but this gives Gunn the freedom to delve into the characters' internal conflicts and explore their pasts, particularly Rocket's, who is the central focus of the story. Without spoiling anything, the movie sends the Guardians on an intergalactic quest to hunt down the villain known as the High Evolutionary, all in an effort to save the life of their beloved raccoon. As the great late Tony Stark once said, part of the journey is the end. And in the conclusion of James Gunn's trilogy, our lovable gang of space misfits finally confront their traumatic pasts instead of pretending to be just one big family. Rocket's tragic backstory is handled pretty well, but also in a way that packs an emotional punch that I never expected to see in a Marvel movie, by tackling animal abuse in such a raw and powerful way, but Gunn pulls it off with ease, leaving me in tears for the suffering animals as they endure cruel experiments, in what's a clear reference to the devastating animated movie The Plague Dogs from 1982. Meanwhile, the new Gamora is given an intriguing continuation as she tries to make sense of her own identity amidst the memories others have of her, showing how Gunn made the best of a bad situation due to the fact that Endgame pulled the rug under Gunn's plans for the character, and it works very well. Moving to Star-Lord, he is forced to confront an existence without the love of his life, which sends him spiraling into a dark depression. But fear not. Not everyone is a hot mess in need of therapy. The rest of the gang remains as entertaining as ever, with the added bonus of seeing Drax and Mantis' hilarious interactions take center stage, which was one of my favorite parts of the movie.
You're right.
But here's where I found my main issue with the film. It's caught between a rock and a hard place. On the one hand, it wants to be taken seriously and delve into some heavy emotional themes. On the other hand, it's a Marvel movie, and Marvel movies are known for their comedic relief. The result? A movie that's struggling to balance its tone, with serious moments undercut by jokes that don't quite land. For instance, we'll see a heavy emotional scene, and then 2 seconds later, we'll cut to a scene with childish jokes, not giving the story enough time to breathe and allowing us to fully experience the moment. Also, the film has a lot of characters to juggle, and while some get the satisfying character arcs they deserve, others are left hanging. But even with these flaws, you can't help but feel Gunn's love for these characters, and it shines through in every frame. Another thing I noticed is that this is the first James Gunn film where a couple of songs don't quite fit the scenes, and the soundtrack doesn't feel as epic as the others, but it still has some great needle drops. All in all, it's a valiant effort that makes for a good movie, but one that just falls short of becoming one of the best movies in the MCU. But let's take a moment to appreciate the High Evolutionary, shall we? He's the perfect antagonist to our beloved Guardians, a creature obsessed with perfection, the antithesis of the Guardians' imperfect nature. And the icing on the cake, he's played to perfection by Chukwudi Wuji, who brings just the right amount of gravitas to the role. What's refreshing is that the filmmakers didn't reduce him to a mere joke, which is all too common in Marvel movies. No, this villain is treated with the respect he deserves, and for me, it elevates the movie as a whole. And while the movie doesn't quite shake the usual Marvel muted color palette, the special effects are anything but. The filmmakers really went all out with the organic technology, which keeps the movie a trippy, otherworldly feel straight out of a Jack Kirby comic book. And let's not forget the inventive camera work, especially that tracking shot that we see towards the end. That type of creative cinematography will make me miss Gunn's vision in the Marvel Universe. Is this the best film in the trilogy? At first glance I would say no. Even though I think these characters work better when they're taken more lightly, I must commend James Gunn for daring to craft a satisfying conclusion to the characters that we'd followed and cherished for almost a decade, and yet he still manages to leave us craving for more of the new team's adventures. Comic book purists might not appreciate the liberties taken with Adam Warlock, but I think it serves the movie's purpose as well. However, I don't think I can recommend this movie if you're planning on bringing young children, as it features some intense animal abuse scenes and a particularly gruesome death scene that would make Jason Voorhees proud. I believe that with Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, James Gunn has made it a contender for one of the best trilogies in the MCU. I was on the edge of my seat, laughing out loud and shedding tears throughout the epic finale of my favorite team of misfits. But as the credits rolled, I couldn't help but feel a twinge of sadness. With the MCU seemingly content to churn out safe and formulaic films, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 may be the last great film that we get from this universe for a while. It's a bittersweet feeling, but one that makes this final adventure with the Guardians all the more special.